Here on the Upper East Side to talk about legislation in Albany expanding the red light camera program, a life-saving program that has not expanded in many years, and we're supporting efforts to increase it to 10 percentage times the amount of intersections in the city, as well as add a bill that would suspend registrations for 5 violations in a 12-month period. With that, we are joined by New York City Department of Transportation Commissioner Ydanis Rodriguez and several members of the state legislature who are sponsors of some of this key legislation. That includes State Senator Michael Gineris from Queens, State Senator Andrew Gennardis from Brooklyn, State Assemblyman Jeffrey Dinowitz from the Bronx, as well as a slew of advocates who will be here, including Transportation Alternatives, Open Plans, and Families for Safe Streets, as well as a representative from the Delivery Cyclist Group. And now, as for the victim, unfortunately, in 2020, over at this intersection, was a member of the Delivery Cyclist community. So I thank you all for being here. We are going to start the program in 1 minute while we convert to be able to do the live stream. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It is great to be here surrounded with great leaders in Albany. 2023, New York City got the lowest number of pedestrian fatality of the last 113 years, besides 2020, the year of COVID. Again, the lowest numbers of pedestrian fatality was accomplished 2023. When the United States has the higher numbers since 1987. So we are definitely leading in the right direction. And this is the result of so many great partners that we have here. And you will hear from them as I will introduce it. My name is Ydanis Rodriguez. I'm the New York City DOT Commissioner. On behalf of Mayor Eric Adams, I would like to say thank you to all the partners that help New York City to continue to do everything we can to improve safety, especially for our senior pedestrians and cyclists. We are here at this intersection because in 2020, a reckless speeding driver hitting west on 97th Street blew through a red light. That driver went through the red signal and struck a cyclist, a 42-year-old Ernesto Guzman, who was tragically died from his injury. I would like to ask for a moment of silence on his behalf. Our thoughts are with Ernesto's loved ones who are still living with this grief. Each year, there are unfortunately far too many fatalities involving red light running. In 2023, 29 people were killed in red light running crashes. That's the worst annual total we have recorded. It is more than double the average annual total of such deaths from the previous decade. And each of those 29 fatalities occur at intersection with our red light camera. We have the tools to help prevent this. We know what works, and that's why this legislative section, we will be working with our great partners in Albany, including our elected leaders here, to renew and most important, to expand our life-saving red light camera program. Our red light camera program has proven to yield significant safety results over its 30 years of operation. On average, intersections with red light cameras experience nearly 13% decline in T-bone injuries crashes. The program has also proven to change driver behavior and deter them from repeatedly running red lights. In 2023, 94% of vehicles caught running or a red light received no more than 1 or 2 violations. Fewer than 0.5% of vehicles receiving a 5 or more violations. Despite this safety gain, the program is too limited to serve as a wider deterrent against reckless and danger red lights running. Current state law limited this camera to operating at no more than 150 intersections at a given time, or less than 1%, or New York City more than 13,700 signalized intersections. This year, the program is set to expire unless state legislators act, and I know that with our friend, they will act. Today, we are announcing our support for two bills to address the rise in danger red light running. The first, which is sponsored by State Senator Andrew Ydanis and Assembly Member Jeff Tinoch, will reauthorize this life-saving red light camera program to December 2030. It will expand the numbers of locations to 1,325, or about 10% of signalized intersections. The second piece of legislation, sponsored by State Senator Michael Ydanis and Assembly Member William McNarelli, will help crack down on the select few drivers who continue operating dangerous on the road. Even while most drivers change their behavior after one or two violations, a small group of repeat offenders are not deterred by repeated fines alone. This legislation will authorize the Departments of Motor Vehicles to suspend the registration for vehicles that get 5 or more red light camera violations in 12 months period. These two bills will provide real safety benefits for all New Yorkers, and if we don't act this year, our red light camera program will expire right as we are seeing troubling numbers of red lights running deaths. So we are committed to working with our partners in Albany this section to get this bill passed. Hoy estamos nosotros aquí porque Albany debe de darnos la autorización a la ciudad de Nueva York para nosotros seguir corriendo el programa de las cámaras que dan los tickets a los choferes que cruzan en los semáforos. Nosotros podemos y sabemos cómo salvar la vida. El año pasado nosotros tuvimos el número de personas que murieron golpeados por vehículos más bajo en la ciudad de Nueva York en los últimos 113 años. Número positivo, aunque una muerte es mucho para nosotros, especialmente para el alcalde Ydanis y para mi persona. Hoy tenemos los líderes que están aquí con nosotros, que van a trabajar para nosotros, no solamente restaurar y mantener el programa de las cámaras que están en los semáforos, sino también para expandirlo. Actualmente solamente podemos tener esas cámaras en 150 intersecciones de las 13.700 intersecciones que tienen semáforos en la ciudad. Pero nosotros no solamente queremos que se restaurice el programa, sino también queremos que se expanda a más de 1.300. Lo podemos hacer y para eso tenemos líderes importantes que están con nosotros aquí, que tienen los bills para nosotros en este año lograrlo. A nombre del alcalde Ydanis, de nuestra persona, estamos aquí siguiendo el trabajo para hacer la calle más segura para todos los neoyorquinos, especialmente para las personas mayores, para los ciclistas y los peatones. With that, now let's hear from State Senate Majority Leader Ydanis, who will come and speak up on his bill.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Michael Gianaris. I'm the Deputy Leader of the New York State Senate, and I want to thank Commissioner Rodriguez for his attention not only to this issue, but to so many issues of safety on our streets. Commissioner, thank you for calling us together and for lending your support to these important bills. Folks, we have been slowly phasing in red light cameras over many, many years with the theory that we wanted to see how they work. Well, after all the data is in, the verdict is also in. Red light cameras work, they prevent injuries, they prevent fatalities, they prevent car crashes. So then the question simply becomes, who wants to defend people's right to run red lights without being penalized? Nobody. It makes no sense. Of course we should renew this program. Of course we should expand this program if we're interested in saving the lives of pedestrians, of cyclists, and even of passengers of vehicles themselves. We know this works. We have a good plan to expand this program and make sure that those who are the repeat violators are held accountable. My colleague you're going to hear from shortly, Senator Gurnardis, has done great work leading on this issue together with Assemblymember Dinowitz and so many other colleagues of ours. They have a plan to expand the number to 10% of the eligible intersections throughout the city. I have a bill that would penalize those few drivers that continuously violate the norms that we have set and have proven themselves to be extremely dangerous. 5 violations in a 12-month period. Think about that. Who runs the red lights 5 times in 1 year? Maybe accidentally you pass when you're in a rush, whatever. 5 times in 1 year, you are a dangerous driver. That car should not be on the streets, and the vehicle registration should be suspended. That's what I'm proposing. Together with the additional proposals that are being supported here today, we can make a real difference to protect more and more New Yorkers. So, Commissioner, thank you again for bringing us together, and let's get this done.
Thank you. Thank you, Marco. Now let's hear from Andrew Gurnardis, who is another great leader, a great partner of this city, not only on this bill, but so many other bills that we've been also passing in Albany.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, everyone. I'm State Senator Andrew Gurnardis from Brooklyn, the sponsor, along with Member Dinowitz, of the bill to not only reauthorize the camera program, which has been operational for more than 30 years in New York City, going back to the early 90s, but as well as to expand the number of covered intersections, because 150 cameras and intersections in a city of almost 14,000 signalized corners is just wholly inadequate. Who among us wants to be the one to tell a family who loses a child to a car crash that, sorry, we didn't want to protect this corner because we didn't have enough. We know what would have kept your child safe, but we didn't want to do the work to actually put the camera in there. Who wants to have to go to a funeral for a senior citizen who passes away trying to cross the street because a car runs through a red light because we didn't muster the political will or the courage to say, actually, we know how to keep people safe by putting cameras here because we know that they are a proven deterrent. This is a no-brainer. This program works. In the 30-plus years that the red light cameras have been operational, we've seen almost an 80% reduction in the number of violations of people who run red lights. But we've started to see a slight uptick ever since COVID of people who are starting to violate those social norms and the norms of the road, which say very plainly, when you see a red light, you do not go. You do not collect your $200. You do not continue to travel. You have to stop your vehicle. A small number of people are violating those norms. We don't have adequate protection on our city streets, which is why our bill to renew and expand the program is so critical. And the last point I'll make is this. When you look at all the data, at the reductions of the number of people who have been injured or killed in red light intersections, it helps pedestrians, it helps cyclists, but the greatest increase in the number of people whose lives are saved by red light cameras are other drivers. So this is not a bill meant to penalize drivers. This is a bill meant to protect everyone on our roads, drivers included, because they are equally at risk, if not more, of getting T-boned at an intersection because someone else chooses to run a red light. That's why this is so important, and that's why we're going to get this done this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's hear from another great person here, a great leader, great assembly member, and great partner of this city, Jeff Dinowitz.
Thank you. I'm Assemblyman Jeffrey Dinowitz from the Bronx. Thankful to join here with Commissioner Rodriguez and Senators Ydanis and Gurnardis. Part of our job as legislators is to save lives. Red light cameras save lives. There is no question about it. It's been proven. We have enough data, and it is a no-brainer. The question is, why haven't we renewed this program, in fact, made it permanent, and why haven't we expanded the number? Well, this legislation that I have with Senator Gurnardis will provide that close to 10% of the intersections in our city will have red light cameras. And I know there are some people who say, oh, this is just a revenue raiser. Well, first of all, it's really not, because the red light cameras, over time, revenue diminishes because many people learn to not do what they're not supposed to do. So it's not about revenue. It's about keeping people alive, pedestrians, bikers, drivers. Now, if we expand the number of red light cameras, there is no question we will save lives. Personally, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't expand it even further, but one step at a time. And after much research, we discovered the best way to not get a red light camera ticket. Don't run red lights. If you don't run the red light, you're not going to have to shell out money. So instead of complaining about the possibility of having to pay money, drive safely. Drive safely. Most people do. And for the people who don't, well, there's ways that you learn to drive safely, and one way is to get a red light camera ticket. In addition, if you are a repeat offender, you really don't belong on the road, and there is no reason your car should not be taken, that the registration should be suspended. So the second bill here is very important also. So I would just say to everybody in New York, drive safely, pay attention, assume that there's a red light camera at every single intersection in the city, and do what you're supposed to do. Otherwise, don't drive.
Thank you. Thank you, Assembly Member. Now let's hear from all the great partners here with us. I would like to call the first person, someone who also is a voice of the deliberitas, and they are the ones who are losing many of the members in many classes. Sergio.
Hi guys, good morning. Thank you, Ydanis Rodriguez and DT. Thank you for inviting us today. And the part of the New York City Food Delivery Movement. We are here on the day that Ernesto passed away. In this side, in this area, we saw that happen that day. We protest on 23%, but that happened that day. There no cameras, they no show nothing. So the TLC car just passed like a red light, and this guy, they lost the light. That day is a rain day. This guy did not saw the light, but the car just passed like very faster. That's what happened that day. And the memory of Ernesto, and thank you. I spoke with the family last night, and they're very sad. You know why? Because they don't have like justice. They're still waiting for justice 3 years to now. In the memory of Ernesto, we had a bicycle, the ghost bicycle on the cross the street, but we're still waiting for justice for him. That's why I'm here today. I speak for him and for his family and the part of the community. That's our people, our immigrant people, but the only thing we ask for is justice. And thank you for this camera. Maybe it's working for more people later. We want to save more lives. And that's why I'm here today. And the part of the New York City movement, and thank you all you guys here today, but we're still waiting for the justice. We're still waiting for the justice for these are the members. So thank you guys, and thank you, Ydanis. Mi nombre es Sergio Solano, soy parte del movimiento de los repartidores de comida, los Delivery Boys. Yo estuve presente ese día cuando Ernesto perdió la vida aquí, un día de lluvia, un domingo a las 5 de la tarde. Yo lo vi cruzando la calle, como él, los bomberos trataron de sobrevivirlo. Él estuvo tirado ahí por mucho tiempo. El carro se pasó la luz. No sabemos a qué velocidad iba, pero es un carro de TLC que se cruzó la luz y dejó el carro parqueado en la tercera avenida. Nosotros fuimos al precinto 23 a exigir justicia, que se investigue este caso, y solamente nos dijeron que no hay cámaras, no había evidencias. Eso fue lo que él ha perdido la justicia, y después de 3 años, allá tenemos su memoria, una bicicleta que sigue esperando la justicia para su familia. Anoche hablé con su tía y ellos estaban devastados por esta noticia de que ¿qué hubiera pasado si estas cámaras existieran 3 años atrás? Gracias. Sergio Solano. SERGIO SOLANO. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. Now let's hear from Kate Brockwell from Family for Safe Street.
Hi, my name is Kate Brockwell, and I became a member. My name is Kate Brockwell, and I became a member of Families for Safe Streets after I was seriously injured in 2017 as a pedestrian. Families for Safe Streets is entirely composed of people who have been seriously injured by traffic violence and people who have lost loved ones to it. I was crossing East Houston Street in the crosswalk and with the light when a car that had been waiting to turn left onto Houston plowed into me. We know that vehicles making left-hand turns are particularly likely to cause crashes, and we also know that vehicles that ignore red lights, usually at high speeds, cause disproportionate carnage on our streets. New York City's red light camera program is nearly 30 years old, but only installed at 150 intersections around the city, as you've heard again and again, but it bears repeating, because that's ridiculous. It must be renewed and expanded to more intersections. Over its 3 decades, the average number of citations issued daily has dropped 77%, but since the start of the pandemic, red light running has increased. Families for Safe Streets knows the impact of this carnage. Crashes caused by running red lights are more likely to be high-speed, right-angle crashes, which tend to be particularly lethal. And as Senator Gianardi said, we're disproportionately talking about drivers and pedestrians who are impacted by this, or drivers and passengers who are impacted by this. Renewing and expanding the red light camera program is a common sense solution to make our streets safer. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's hear from Danny Harris from Transportation Authority.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you to our leadership from Albany that's here with us. Frankly, we should have many more people standing with us because in addition to being here to honor Eduardo, I just want to acknowledge there's a hospital behind us, there's a school right across the way, there's a playground. What we're talking about today is how to keep every New Yorker safe on your streets. Whether you're taking your kids to school, whether you're commuting to work, yes, whether you're driving. These are the tools that are proven to keep New Yorkers safe. And as the Assembly member said, if you don't want to get a violation, then don't run a red light. You don't want to get a speed camera violation? Then drive the speed limit. These are the tools that work, that keep New Yorkers safe in every single neighborhood. And it's a shame that this incredibly successful pilot has been proven for 30 years and we still have to go up to Albany, not only to fight that it exists, but to fight to bring it to more communities. So this is a fight that every New Yorker should get into, no matter where you live. We need safety on our streets. We need safety on your streets. Come help to make it happen. And I want to thank the leadership here for fighting up in Albany tirelessly so that this is a reality for every New Yorker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Danny. And last but not least, let's hear from Jackson Chavez from Open Plans New York City.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Jackson Chabot. I'm the Director of Advocacy and Organizing at Open Plans. Our mission is to transform New York City streets. If we're going to do that, no one should feel unsafe crossing the street. Consider the young child walking with their parent, maybe to the playground, as Danny said. The senior just walking to their appointment to cross the street as well. The driver making the safe turn. The ambulance driver trying to get someone to the hospital. No one should have to consider getting T-boned, run down, or anything else for that matter. So as we look to do this, this is common sense and common decency. I got my license some years ago when I grew up in Ohio. One of the first things you learn is the rules of the road. The obvious one, and why we should not even have to be here today, is you do not run red lights. There is no reason, there is no excuse, ever. And yet we see people doing it every day. Think of the intersections near where you live. How many of you can think of an intersection where you've seen a driver run through a red light? I live near Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn. I can think of at least 3 where drivers casually and callously roll through red lights as children are walking to the Q train at 7th Avenue. I can think of where people are simply trying to go to the grocery store on their way home from work. These daily occurrences should not be fraught with fear. We should not be living in fear. And these red light cameras, again, are about common decency and common sense. I commend the commissioner, the agency, the administration, and our elected officials here today who are standing for this. This shows the clear strength that we have, not only to renew this program this year, but to expand it. 10% is amazing, but dare I say we need 50%. We need 70% of coverage. Because when we do 10%, that means that all of the intersections near our houses, maybe we each get one of them. There's at least one school, at least one park, at least one critical institution where people are going to every day that deserve a safe intersection. Thank you.